Welcome back to the MartiniWorks Podcast. Happy Friday, everyone. We hope you're enjoying what should be the downfall of the super hot, terrible days that have been plaguing the United States of America.
You think they're past us?
I think they're past us.
Okay.
I do. You want to know why?
Why?
Because September.
Yeah, it's winter,
It's over.
basically.
It's pretty much over.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to sneeze, leaves gone.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to sneeze again, 10 degrees.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, fall's the best time of the year, but it lasts a week in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Up here, at least, it does. You guys will have to let us know what fall looks like for you. But hey, if you're looking for car parts, mod your car at MartiniWorks.com. We've got some new wheel models that we're going to be talking about today, as well as just some updates on the cars. Talk a little bit about the trending news that's going on out there. Heard there's an STI being rumored by Subaru,
Yeah.
which is pretty wild.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of digging to see if I could find more info about it. Obviously, it sounds like it's going to be a hybrid or full EV.
Of course.
400 horse is what's rumored. And then also, it will not appear until the current WRX is phased out.
Imagine for a second that you invest in
That'd be wild.
800 pounds of electric motor equipment for your Subaru STI, and it only makes 400 horsepower.
I don't know. I don't know how that all equates to anything.
Fully forged is what it needs, like a fully built engine, and then throw an electric motor in the back, crank that bitch to like 650, and say you like to party. That's what it needs.
So what's going on again with I'm trying to remember, the newer NSX. That's a hybrid.
Yeah.
And that uses electric,
Yep.
but I feel like it does it in a cool car guy way.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's what they need to do with the STI. That newer NSX has been out for a while now. You think that technology has to be
Even
somewhat
more improved on.
yeah, and normalized, so it's a little bit cheaper to get into. So, I mean, if they could do something like that, because I love driving the new NSX. That shit was fucking insane. I got to ride with a race
Such a
car
cool
driver,
Yeah.
and see what the car can actually do, not me just, messing around with it. Holy cow, that thing was absolutely insane. So, like, I'm trying to stay a little positive because the future is inevitable with EVs, electricity, how they're going to use it. But I think they can do it in cool car guy ways.
Well, the NSX, the new one was really rad because it combined both elements. You've got pretty much the best parts of what made a hybrid motor work on the racetrack, like with a full-on race car, and then they added that, essentially the IC engine on top of it. So you got the best of both worlds. Anytime you needed power, if you didn't have it from the IC, you had it from the electric motor. I worry with Subaru doing things like that because Subaru's not necessarily the most progressive manufacturer, are they? Like, where would you put them in the spectrum of, like, most progressive would likely be who? Tesla?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the least
maybe.
progressive,
I would put maybe like Volvo up there too.
Volvo would be a
Yeah.
good one too. What would be the least progressive? Ferrari?
Mazda.
No, Mazda Sky Active Technology.
What's that?
They keep
Sky
trying to-
Active Technology?
Sky Active R.
Yeah.
It's the rotary.
That's a
range
marketing
extender.
word.
Well, Sky, they used to have, at
They
least
used to. I'm saying nowadays they make the same fucking 3 cars and just
Yeah.
keep coming out.
Yeah.
We're on Miata 50
Nissan.
right now.
Nissan.
Nissan,
Nissan's like
too.
at the bottom.
of
Like,
progressiveness. At least they introduced a twin turbo sports car.
Yeah, fucking 20 years later.
Yeah, but at least they did it.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
It's
Toyota is
Not
and
saying
isn't at the
bad.
same time. It's like if they want to be, they can, but
Yeah.
typically they're not.
Yeah.
They're like, we're gonna keep making the Tundra with the huge ass fan in the front that's only on when the truck's on because we can.
I think what we're noticing is Japanese car manufacturers like to stay in their ways quite
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah,
Like,
I'd put-
they find something that's working.
BMW is the most progressive
They're
in design and performance and technology and they are probably the
Well, and
most
that's
They're up
what I was
progressive.
gonna say.
They're up there.
German cars, European cars are more progressive. They're trying new stuff. That's why you see so many companies, copy Audi with a lot of their aesthetics and looks, and BMW, like you said, they're way too far ahead. Something comes out and we're like, that's the ugliest thing in the world, and then a few months later, we're like, oh my god, it's the best car in the world.
Usually when somebody is winning by so much in some way, shape, or form, there's usually like a scandal that comes out shortly thereafter. Volkswagen had a stranglehold on the early 2010s for the longest time until finally they're like,
Wait a minute.
wait a minute, your emissions aren't emissioning right? And they're like, "Oh, you caught us!
Dang it.
Shoot!" And then
Worked for a little bit.
Toyota was doing really good stuff, and then every single time there's some sort of like massive safety recall because
Always airbags. How is it still
Takata
always
airbags.
fucking airbags?
Toyota's like, "Well, that's not our subsidiary." It's like, yeah, but it's Toyota Australia. They're like, "That's not us.
You keep
That's
using
not
them
us."
though.
All right. What are some must-do, can't-fails for the new STI?
Must do.
All-wheel drive.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. Yep.
It has to be all-wheel drive.
No-brainer.
It cannot be all electric.
No, it has to be a
Cannot be all
hybrid.
electric.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I think I would love to see because the STI, that the whole point of it is that it's like an off-road, on-road,
Rally, yeah.
rally-inspired performance car. So I'm not against having electric in there.
Yeah.
But it should have
Shouldn't
a
be.
manual and it should have all-wheel drive
Yeah, I agree with that.
or
I
a
don't,
simulated manual,
Something,
I
yeah.
guess.
I don't think it. Yeah, that's tough. I want it to be part gas, but if they did release full EV, they'd have to do it in a really cool way.
I would say- I
just
Rally
feel like it
Heritage
wouldn't-
needs to stay in.
It wouldn't hit if it was. I hate to say it, but
Because
I
the
mean,
hardest thing about it is if you go into and you make an electric vehicle that is rally inspired, that's only electric, that doesn't have some sort of solution for the fact that when you hammer on these vehicles, they don't have a ton of mileage left on them, right? I guess I just feel like they're backing themselves into a wall. What they should do is they should just build a forged 2.4 turbo, 400 horsepower, call it a day, call it the last STI, and then go full electric after that. Because the last STI was, I felt like, not the right way to end the STI.
they skipped
most
a
recent-
generation.
Yeah, because the last STI was not the VB,
the VA.
the VA.
I really like the VA.
I think it's a good car, but
the VA wasn't an STI, was it?
Yeah,
yeah, it was.
Or was? Okay.
Yeah, the newest one, the VB.
yeah,
like the
I
ones
think
that are
they
out
did
now.
a good job with that. But like I at least appreciate Mazda for Mitsubishi for doing like the final edition Evo. Like
Right.
even though it kind of sucked.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
they took out the
weird.
Recaros and stuff, and it got kind of weird. But at least it was like a hey goodbye. Like I feel like that's a good call. They should make a gas if they got to do some hybrid shit in there. Sure,
Which is
whatever.
fine.
Final edition.
But they should do some type of like goodbye homage heritage build for it. Make it limited even and drop it. I hope it's not like a Mustang Mach E type
Yeah.
dealio where they try to slap STI badges on this EV SUV type thing and then try to do that. I don't know. That
Well, I
seems
got
more-
bad news.
Well,
Car manufacturers typically aren't building stuff for folks like us.
Yeah, I know.
Here's the thing.
Oh,
Who said it was even going to be a WRX STI?
Right. Well,
What if it's a BRZ STI? What if they're
Ooh.
finally going to do it?
there's no way.
there was something.
Or
I
what if it's a
seen
brand new platform?
rumored about a 4-door turbocharged
I remember hearing about that
BRZ
too.
GR86 that I can't remember if it's only Japan is getting, but there was talks about that as well.
Shocker.
It'd be weird for them to release a bigger car over
I
there.
would be more. I would be more receptive to Honda releasing a new S2000 than I am to seeing Subaru develop a proper STI.
Yeah.
Like if I were to put my chips on a platform,
Chips on a
it's
platform.
gonna be Honda with another car versus Subaru, unless it's backed by Toyota, because Toyota owns
That was part of the rumors.
well, because Toyota owns a minority
Well-
share, or did own a minority share of Subaru, which is why we have a Subaru engine in a Toyota. It's the only reason that they did it.
What?
And Toyota's a lot farther ahead on the EV stuff than what Subaru is. So
yeah.
the rumors were there's going to be a collaboration between Toyota and Subaru for the new STI, which is that grounds to be mad because
Oh,
now
God.
we have.
I don't
Oh,
care. I don't.
At least
God.
it's two Japanese companies.
Yeah, it's like I don't care if companies collaborate on
Yeah,
stuff.
just make something dope.
It just needs to be good. The Mark V is such a perfect example of that. Like nobody is going outside of the people that like they get off on the excitement of calling something a hybrid, like the Toyota Super collaboration. I think anybody that owns one or drives one or has one, it's just a good car. It doesn't really matter. The
Yeah.
purity of it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I think, in my
100%.
opinion.
I agree completely. It's taking two really good manufacturers and bringing them together. It's not like it was like Toyota and Suzuki.
Or Toyota and a naturally aspirated Subaru engine.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
that one's
good
okay.
collaboration. People just get so butthurt that wasn't the 3JZ. The engine wasn't made in Japan. It's like, dude,
Those days
you
will
gotta
never.
get
Those
off
the
those.
shittiest part of it is I like you hate to say it, but those days are gone.
Yeah.
Like they'll never come back until you see the yen come back to its heyday of supremacy in the actual economy, which it really, I don't think it ever will. You'll never see car companies do what they did in the 90s and even the early 2000s. Like, I hate to say it. If you want to know what country's making the best cars, go look and see who has the strongest currency. And then you'll find out who's making the best cars. Like, in Europe right now, BMW is doing incredible. Germany as a country is doing very well in terms of production, but also America's doing really well. Like, that's why you're seeing so many good things come out of a lot of the American manufacturers. That's why you see Cadillac still making the Blackwing, for instance. It's like they're probably building 10 of those a year, but they're doing it because they can. They have the flexibility to do it. I don't think Japanese car manufacturers, outside of Toyota being just as large as it is, has the same level of freedom.
Sure.
Personal opinion. Personal bias.
I just don't want the STI to have weird plastic.
Bro,
fender
when was,
arches.
it's like look back at the record. How good is Subaru at delivering what you want?
Not good. I actually did some research for a video once on the WRX STI platform, and it's so funny when you start looking at like the numbers and stuff. It was like they copy and paste that shit for so long, and then it gets to the point too where it's like you compare the first WRX STI that came out to like a modern one, and you're getting like 20 horse more over fucking over 20 years.
When the STI was launched, it was this incredible horsepower number of like 280 or 300 or something like that. And then every single generation from that went from 300 to 320
and got heavier.
And so it's like you're
less
not
reliable. What? It's crazy. So yeah, I don't know.
I think the real car that we're all missing out on, the
Yeah.
car that I think needs to be talked about way more, is the Toyota Camry TRD. That thing,
it's a good car.
That thing is a good car. I have seen so many videos of people buying those and doing like a couple things to them and making them like 400 horsepower, then racing.
They're fun.
Like older sports car and just whooping ass. And then you have to say that you got beat by a Toyota Camry.
They are sleepers. I'll give it to you. Like, if you gotta have like something to keep the insurance down, but you still want something good one, dope. Yeah, and keep it low key. I mean, that's the biggest downfall of it, is it still looks like traffic. So it's not like a. I mean, they look okay. It's not like they look bad, but
they did a decent job, like giving like a little wing and stuff like that. No, we went down to Continental's Valde like proving grounds thing, and we autocrossed those like on their big like it was like on their like wet course.
Yeah,
so it was like a huge wet skid pad. That was fun. like that car was actually a lot of fun to do that in. So.
We had just last weekend we did Paper City Showdown at WIR, which is a local car show that we host, and we did autocross. And I actually took the R34, the GTT out. It had the Continental Extreme Contact Sport 02s, 245/40, and then by now that this video goes live, everyone will know that we've got the Work Kawamis on it too. And dude, it's quick.
Yeah.
Like, the car is fantastic, but those tires were fucking nuts out there, especially for autocross. Like, I was pummeling it through corners and hairpins and slaloms, and the tires just do not give. It was so awesome.
You said you took second place?
Oh, yeah. I took second place.
First time autocrossing cars, whip second place.
Yeah, at a 45.
At your own event, that's cheating.
When you start driving that thing,
I'm
when you
sorry.
start driving the R34, you realize like how good that chassis is. It is balanced. It feels good. It's planted. The mods we did accentuated that, and it lives up to the hype.
That's a good point. I feel like we didn't really change anything about the car. Like, the mods didn't like add it. It just like
Enhanced.
brought everything forward. It's
Enhanced.
It's like when you add salt to a steak.
Yeah.
You're
little
not changing
butter.
the flavor of the
butter.
steak. You're just
put the butter on a
Enhancing.
steak.
opener. That's why it's like down in a whole case of MSG.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. No. Back
Yeah.
up. Back
Yeah.
it up. No.
Just making
no.
it taste good.
What?
No.
What are you, an
putting a little
MSG
mushrooms
hater?
on? No, I'm not an MSG
Flavor
hater.
enhancer.
Flavor enhancer. We're enhancing. That's what you should do if you're looking to mod your car. You need a flavor. You need to enhance the flavor. Okay, don't try to turn a steak into a chicken.
Yes.
Which is a lot of times what people do with
Don't
their
put
cars.
ketchup on your steak.
That's weird.
Exactly. You don't go in, order a steak, and try to turn it into a burger. Like, the R34 GTT is an incredible platform. We've done nothing to really improve the horsepower of the car. I mean, the small things we've done.
We should tune it. We should.
Yeah, we should. But I'll tell you what, that car slows balls in the straights. Absolutely terrible drag car because I did that too. That was rough. But we would literally, Lars and I got off of the drag strip and then just pulled over into the autocross. And I went out with the autocross. I had 5 laps with it, and it was insane.
What did it do in the quarter mile? You remember?
I think my lowest time was a 14.8.
Oh, she's a dog.
Yeah. I think my last run, once everything was heat soaked to hell, was like a 15.8.
Oh, yeah.
It was
keep it on the road courses and autocross is probably the best idea. Or drifting. It did phenomenal drifting.
But it gets warm.
She gets hot.
Yeah. The RB engines, if for those that don't know, they're almost iconically known for oil issues. They thin out. The heads have essentially the drains. The drains in the heads aren't big enough when the engine gets warm to actually drain the oil down to get full circulation, and so it all just sits up there. And that's why a lot of RBs have oil starvation issues. And then if you fix that, you still have to fix the heating issue of the oil, which, to be fair, we drove it on Road America with the HKS or the Gretty oil cooler.
Yeah, the oil good, coolant not
bad.
so much. Coolant bad. Needs a thicker radiator. We were looking at that, and that radiator is so freaking thin, and it's like behind a lot of shit. And it's like we only have like the clutch fan too, so we should maybe look at getting some like auxiliary fans and like an upgraded radiator or something. But that's just living and learning. I've never messed with an RB before this. This new experience, and it's cool to learn this stuff.
A lot of times when we talk about the parts that we do, and we have the MartiniWorks Unbox channel where we go through the parts in detail. But when we talk to you guys about like what parts to install in the How to Modify series or in some of our other stuff on the main channel, a lot of times it can sound repetitive with, we talk about sway bars or we talk about coilovers, we talk about tires. But it's like those are probably the best modifications you can do when you're jumping into getting a new car, like especially with something like a GTT or an S14 or an S13. You get these old Nissans and stuff. It's like, well, what should I do? Should I go put a bunch of power on it? It's like, fuck no. You should get a sway bar from Whiteline, from MartiniWorks.com, or I'm calling your mother. You should get good tires. You should get coilovers. You should get the things that make the car feel
freshen
more
it back
connected
up. Like it's a
to you.
20-some-year-old car. Make it feel good.
Exactly. Because you'd be surprised when these cars were new, they were fantastic. So a lot of times those mods, that's all they're doing is just bringing them back to the front.
Take it to the doctor.
It does need some rotors.
Yeah,
it does need. I'll tell you what, those RPX brake pads from EBC though, pleasantly reminded as to why they're my favorite brake pads.
Yeah, it's all over the wheels. All over our nice white work Kiwamis.
That's a terrible idea.
Oh my God.
Either way.
We're like, put these brand new, nice, beautiful Japanese wheels on. Same time throwing like track race pads in it. Like, this is
dude,
fun.
you press the brake pedal a couple times and the wheels turn a different
I moved
color.
it outside and the wheels were black.
That's just how it goes. I love I had a lot of people compliment the white wheels on the yellow car. I feel
It's
like
a vibe. It's a vibe.
White colored wheels have gotten niche. Like they're just not a very popular color.
I think it's because literally look at them. Like you drive it and they just get
but they're so good.
Yes, it's like they're like black cars,
They're
right? It's
so
like
good.
they're really really good when they're really clean.
I know, that's what I was
and
going
then
to say.
you drive it 2 feet.
I
and
have
you're
a
like,
black car with
white
wheels, and it's the worst combination in the
How
history
you doing,
of
bud?
the world.
How's that going?
How are you mentally?
Dude, not good. That's why people, you guys are like, "Oh, your car is filthy." It's like, yeah, I drove it 2 minutes. That was after
I drove it
car
to work
wash.
today.
Yeah, it looks good, dude. When like it's all clean, obviously you cannot beat it. Looks immaculate, but it's just you move it. And it's
I do love the white on bright colored car, wheel combo. I think that's why I like the Kiwamis. I like the Stage Nights we have for the drift set because those are also white. But not a lot of wheel companies do, white finished wheels well. It's a lot of Japanese stuff like Advan, I think, comes with white. Graham Lights has a white, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and then you've got Stage.
Stage.
Yeah, you got Stage with the Fushis, and then you've got Work.
Yep.
Only get white wheels, I would argue, if you're willing to commit to the style.
It is a commitment.
Because the style's 10 out of 10. Everybody's going to compliment you, but there is more work involved.
You ceramic coated your TEs, didn't you?
yeah.
Does that help?
It did help.
Be honest.
No, because when we went to Tennessee, we drove it down to Gatlinburg. I got there and I took the pressure washer and just wiped it off, and they looked literally brand new. What I will say is it wore out a lot quicker than what I was expecting.
Oh, sure.
So I'm like, little over a year now into it, and it could definitely use a refresh of ceramic coat.
Not coming off as easily.
No, now it's it takes a lot more elbow grease to get them off. But I think if I did it again and refresh them with the stuff I have, which I have some left over, I should just do that again because it worked.
Yeah, the ceramic coat stuff, I would say it's something we're actually planning to put on the website in a little bit. But like, we're not gonna lie to you. People will say it's like a lifetime thing or like a 20-year thing, 10 years. It's like, dude, if you use the thing, like your wheels, if you use the car, it's a year, 2 years, realistically, I would say, especially if you get in like more aggressive weather conditions. Like if you live down south where the sun is beaming on top of the car forever, I don't care what anybody says. They're going to charge you $5,000 for a, what do they call it? Ceramic Pro XP Ultimate Extreme. We do the whole car. It's a 30-year life expectancy. It's like, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that, and I don't believe window tint. I think something about it just scares the super fancy, ultra expensive window tint. It's like $900.
Yeah, I know.
I've never had it, so I can't speak on it. I
was
do know
mid-grade.
Adding window tint helps though.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, the changes between the levels, no idea. I couldn't speak on it. You'll never get me spending fucking $3,000 on tinting my car. Even though it felt like that, dude, prices went up like crazy.
I watched a funny TikTok the other day. It was like it was these two guys talking about buying like a thing. And it's like, hey, I'd like to buy that thing. And the guy's like, okay, it's going to be twice as much as last year. And the guy's like, why? He's like, well, inflation. It's like, yeah, but inflation was 6%. Like, yeah. So then why is it double the price?
Yeah.
Because inflation. But inflation was only 6%. Well, yeah, but it's because we can't. Dude, it is wild how expensive things are getting right now.
A lot of those services like have gone way up. It's crazy.
Well, like Beck and I, obviously in 2020 and 2021, we got familiar with the Uber Eats and Grubhubs, just like anybody else. But now I told Beck, I was like, I'll eat out more with you if you'd like, but we're not using delivery services.
Deleted all those apps. It got so bad.
It's insane. It was literally this weekend. I was like by myself. I was like filming some stuff at home, and I was like, oh man, I was like up kind of early because I think we were getting ready to go flying. And I was like getting stuff ready. I was like, man, I can go for some McDonald's right now. Like it'd be awesome if I could just have it dropped off. So I opened up the app. I was like, bacon, egg, and cheese bagel, $9 for the meal. I was like, cool. Went to switch over to the mobile. It's like, oh, by the way, just so you know, it's $11 if you order through mobile for this same exact thing. We're not going to really tell you why, but it's $2 more on the mobile app.
Dude, they make the food more expensive
and I was
delivery.
Like, oh, okay, well, then that delivery must be included. No, my $9.81 order turned into a $22.50 order. I'm like, no, I'm not fucking doing that.
I guarantee you the McDonald's is like less than 5 miles from your place, too,
Yeah, it's literally right down the road. But like, I was like, $22 fucking dollars. It over doubled the cost of the fucking food.
Everything got psychotic.
Yeah, I was like, that's insane.
So when I really realized when Taco Bell was like the same price as going to a normal restaurant, or like if you go to Red Robin, I don't anymore because I'm not paying $80 to have 2 burgers.
I don't
bottomless fries though.
Fuck that.
But it's unlimited.
It's unlimited. I don't. Yeah, no. It's
inflation.
Inflation.
It's so silly. If you guys are wondering why prices go up on things, know that like 80% of the reason is because of greed and 20% is the reason because of cost. Like realistically, that has to be because even on like the car part side of things, like we'll see prices go up and down, and usually, especially with wheels, for instance, it's almost always following the price of aluminum. So if aluminum goes up in price, wheels go up in price. That's usually like the easiest way to see it. But we can see when aluminum goes up, let's say it goes up 5% or 10%, and we see a wheel company increase the price of their wheels by 30%. We know those people are being assholes. And we'll usually like message them or email them and be like, guys, come on. Like you can't. Why are you charging an extra $300 for a set of wheels? Oh, because of aluminum cost. It's like, yeah, we see the aluminum cost too. Like you're not fooling anyone.
Yeah, that inflation sucks. Well, you know what inflation doesn't suck?
What doesn't suck?
The inflation of my brand new Continental tires, which just so happens to be the main sponsor of the MartiniWorks
Inflation,
podcast.
like putting air in them? That was
and
genius.
taking them out?
You like that? Wait, what?
You take air out when you got to race?
Well, sure. I guess whatever way you want to swing it. But either way, Continental is awesome partner that we've had on the MartiniWorks podcast since the very beginning, and we couldn't be more happy because we're running them on our Skyline GTT. We got them on all of our cars. We got them ready to go for the winter when that inevitably does come around, which is going to be very soon, unfortunately. So if you're shopping around, or you should be shopping around for some all seasons or some winter tires for the inclement weather coming up, you should probably be doing that now, because otherwise, if you wait too long, everyone else got them. They were before you. You procrastinated. You missed out. Go get your winter tires and your all seasons right now. But they've been absolutely awesome. We're not just saying that because they sponsor the podcast. We chose them to sponsor the podcast, and we couldn't be more happy to have them on board. So if you need some Continental tires for anything upcoming for your vehicles, make sure to check them out at MartiniWorks.com.
Also, I appreciate all the messages and comments I get that are Conti, Conti, Conti.
Oh, my God. Welcome back, and we're going to be talking about some new products. So something.
Face of something else.
If you guys are just listening, Dakota made a funky face. He makes
Big
lots
silly
of
face.
He big silly face guy.
Big clapper.
Let's talk about the new Koenig wheels. Koenig came out with a new fully forged wheel, two of them.
Yeah.
The F3S and the F1M.
Has Koenig made fully forged wheels before? This is their first ever?
Yep.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Koenig, obviously very popular brand. We sell quite a few Koenigs actually every single day, and we mount Continental
Joe's
tires
fucking
to them.
runs Koenigs.
We mount and balance them for free. So if you guys are looking for wheels, get them from us, please, because we can actually help you find what fits, and it goes towards a good cause. F3S, F1M, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
F1M and F3S have a bajillion different sizes. I've been really impressed with how they've been going on so far. If you guys don't know, they go from like 17 to 19, and then they have like Porsche fitments and stuff too, which is just nuts. 19 by 9, 19 by 12, things like that. If you guys are looking for forged wheels, it's typically been a pretty expensive.
Yeah, forged wheels
Process.
are expensive as fuck.
Yeah.
Even single piece, forged, you're paying over $4,000 almost always.
Why?
Because the
forged?
process.
Talk about the process.
It's a
Inflation.
lot. So
I'm just joking.
Inflation.
when it comes to like forged wheels specifically, one of the main drivers that causes it is because there's so much material waste
Yes.
in the manufacturing process. So when you go from like casting a wheel, you're melting down the aluminum or the metal, and you're pouring it into a cast, and then you trim away a little bit, but for the most part, it's like there's really no waste to it outside of just like the excess around that they trim off.
Even with the injection molding,
Right.
you're only putting the amount of metal required.
You use what you need.
Yeah.
When it comes to forging, for instance, and it depends on the way that it's done, because there's multiple different types of forging that they do. But usually, in like a monoblock instance, like they'll punch like a blank essentially, and they'll punch the face into it, and then they have to go in and machine all of that out and like really get in there and like cut the windows out. And then like when you're talking about like the side milling and the back and all that kind of stuff, not only is it a long time consuming process compared to like casting a bunch of wheels, it also causes a ton of material waste, which of course is going to find its way to you as the consumer. They're not just going to eat that cost. So that is one of the reasons why they are really expensive. It's just because they're not able to produce as much as quickly, and they're wasting a lot of material.
But it ends up making them quite a bit stronger and
lot stronger,
lighter.
Yeah, so if you guys ever look at rotary forging and you ask, it's a cast face, and then they'll take rollers and they spin the wheel at a very high rate of speed, they heat it up, and then they roll the barrel out. That technology, that process actually initially came from forging first, except they made it more affordable by making the face of the wheel cast. Whereas with a fully forged wheel, you're forging that face and then you're rolling out the barrel. So you still get that. That's the same technology as before.
We'll have a barrel of fun. Sorry, you
a
said it
song.
like twice and I couldn't. But
Is it a song?
Now oh my goodness.
you're from Wisconsin and you're asking if
goodness.
"Roll Out the Barrel" is a song?
Dude, we need to get B-roll of a factory doing that and just play that song.
All right,
do the words that bounce
We're
with
going
it.
to Koenig. And we're gonna go see how they make their forged wheels, and we're like, we got a killer video idea.
Yeah.
If you guys are wondering why some forged wheels are $2,000 versus $10,000, some of it is marketing, I think, for obvious reasons. But Koenig brought in the wheels at a really good price.
Yeah, how much are they?
Right about 500-ish to
A set?
600-ish a wheel. One would wish.
Cheaper than their cast stuff. It's crazy. I don't know how they're doing it. No,
I would have some concerns.
No, it's a decent price for a fully forged monoblock wheel. I think they do come in at a good price point. The options that they come in, obviously, you get a lot more options as far as like bolt patterns and offsets and things like that. Obviously, it's not fully custom. Like you look at some of the other brands out there where it's like you can choose literally every spec, which is why they cost like $10,000. But no, I think that for what you can customize on there, what you can get, the options as far as sizing, and the wheel, you're getting a really good deal for it.
Yeah, because the VR forged that I had on the Honda S2000, I could put in any bolt, any offset I really wanted, but they were taking that off the back pad, which meant if for some reason I had a big heavy back pad on the back, I'd gain weight. With the Koenigs, you're getting a very specific offset with bolt pattern and etc. But you're not having any sort of excess weight added to it. I think the smallest F3S, I think, comes in at like 16.7 pounds, and the heaviest is 21.7 in like the 19 or 18 by 12 and a half, which considering it's 18 by 12 and a half at 21 pounds, that is extremely light.
22 pounds is usually like your standard 18, 9.5. 18, 10 and a half, like rotary forged wheels.
So you're getting an extra 2 inches of width, which is a big deal. So 2 inches is a lot.
When do you guys think it's worth it to get forged wheels? Because you're spending quite a bit more. You're almost buying 2 sets of wheels in one. So when do you think it's worth it for people to make that leap to forged wheels?
I think it's worth it if, let's say, you want like a very specific fitment and you don't want to have to like run a spacer, like have to deal with any of that. I think it's worth it then. Because you can usually, choose a specific offset you want to get. You can get it to fit just right. Usually, sometimes in that case, like say like Porsche, for instance, weird bolt pattern instances, you can get them drilled. Yeah. You don't have to go with some like offshoot, off-brand name just because you have a weird bolt pattern. You can get something good. I also think that if you really do care about wheel weight, absolutely. Monoblock forge, way to go. Multi-piece forge, on the other hand, when it comes to weight, that's going to be the heaviest option. But no, monoblock forge, if you're really, really considerate about that weight that your wheels have and that unsprung weight and everything like that, rotational mass, that is clearly going to be your best option.
Yeah, Koenig really solved... I feel like I'm like pitching it. I swear I'm not. But they really did like solve a problem, because the biggest issue with forged one-piece wheels with the back pad thing is that you still had this element of like added weight, and you didn't really always get like, you still had, the customer kind of had to guess with what fitment they wanted. If they didn't reach out to somebody like a MartiniWorks, they would have to do research to figure out what offset they wanted. Koenig developed these wheels with very specific offsets for very specific platforms. So if you're a standard sport tuner, they have something for you. But if you have a 997 or 991 or a 996, they have a very specific 5x130 bolt pattern. If you have a F80 M3, if you have a Focus RS or an ST, they have a very specific bolt pattern. So now you're getting perfect fitment on a forged wheel at a couple, I would say, if you wanted to get something close, it's an extra $500 for forged wheels. Why and when you would get that, to me, I would say you're using your car more than twice a year for track stuff. Sure. Like you're doing autocross, for instance. I usually say, if you have a set of permanent numbers on the side of your car, it's probably
worth it.
I'd say it's probably a good investment to jump into the forge, because you get a lot of peace of mind, especially when you start hitting corners, or if you dirt drop or you hit a pothole. A lot of times, when you're using your wheels a lot and they get warm and they get cold, they get warm, they get cold, they get warm, they get cold, you do start to lose a little bit of that rigidity over time. And with a forged wheel, you never have to worry about it. So that's what I would say.
I just wanted TEs. I just thought it was fucking dope.
TEs are a super cool story because they essentially were the first ones back in 1996 to introduce a fully forged monoblock wheel to the masses that could do everything a multi-piece wheel could do, but better, because it was just one piece, and the fitment was easier. It was easier to make. Higher pressure. It was light.
Yeah, the name came from the weight.
It did.
But it was like the 15-inch model. Yeah. We had a lot smaller wheels back
in the day. Yeah. But no, I mean, and still to this day, I think up until almost 5 years ago, Volk and that company had the strongest forging machine in the world. and it was, I think, 10,000 tons of pressure.
That's fucking crazy.
Was
Hard
used
to comprehend.
for the TE37, which is why the wheel was so goddamn strong.
Mm-hmm.
And it took until a couple years ago, and I think finally, China ended up buying a couple or making a couple, because now there's a few 10,000 ton forging machines out there. Most forging machines, random fact, are usually like 6,000, 10,000, or 6,000 or 8,000. Very few are 10,000, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of energy, costs a lot to make, very slow production process.
Yeah, I'm curious, like what, like the actual differences between using like a 6,000 and a 10,000.
It'd be interesting
Like
to
you're
see.
pushing
Yeah,
it to the
I'd love
same
to compare.
amount. I feel like it's.
Well, you got
only gonna go to
the
one
machine's
shape.
got to do, but the machine's got to do more pressure. It's got to have more force. It's going to take more to get that.
But if it does it with 6,
What would make it not do it with 8 or 10?
yeah.
I think the same reason, like, could an RB25 run 300
I think they're
horsepower, 400
overcompensating. There's like, we just want a bigger number. We just want bigger.
I mean, obviously, it's a whole marketing thing.
Yeah, that's the other part. of it.
I mean-
our press is bigger than your press.
I do want to call
Sucker.
out one thing that
Yeah.
I think is important, because we're a pretty honest group here.
Uh-oh.
One of the Koenig models looks very, very similar to the BBS LM, except it's a one piece. The Koenig, I think it's the F1M. I could be wrong. I could be switching them around. And obviously that's a call out. But then I went out there, and Apex just released another wheel in their most aggressive fitment, and it looks nigh identical to a BBS LM. Started going out there
Yeah.
even more, and I'm like, God, everyone that's like in the kind of motorsport space seems to be making a BBS
Yeah.
LM. Do you think it's because they just see the writing on the wall that people aren't buying BBS LMs anymore because they're $6,000?
In multi-piece.
Yeah.
So they're making monoblock.
They're making
versions of it
monoblock
and-
versions.
Yeah,
of it.
I think that design has just forever done well and forever will do well.
I
It's
would
like-
buy
it's
it.
that, like,
I can't be
Yeah.
mad at them. I don't want to be mad at Koenig, and I don't want to be mad at Apex, because it's like they're one piece, they're forged, they're light, they get the job done, and they're a fraction of the fucking cost.
I mean, I'll ask this question. Like, let's say you were to go make a one-piece forged multi-spoke wheel, what would it look like? It'd probably look like a goddamn LM, because it's BBS just so happened to be the first one to be like, we're gonna make the most. Sorry, hang with me. We're gonna make the most basic multi-piece or multi-spoke looking wheel.
Easy.
Here it is.
Easy.
and they're like, we need to make sure that it's got.
No
big
one else
brakes.
can do it now. We did it first.
And then they're like, we need brake clearance. So then they did the bowed spoke, right? And then next thing you know, you've got this bowed spoke, and they're like, okay, well, we need to add like a rotational strength to it too. So you've got these spokes that are really great at keeping the strength inside the wheel up and down, but you've got nothing to help the wheel when it does this. So they're like, okay, well, we'll just put forks. And now you have quite literally the BBS LM design, which is just a bowed spoke with a fork, and that's
it
how
looks
you got.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, of course
Looks
it
great.
does.
I wish
the
I could get
cars that it
LMs
went
so
on.
bad.
The cars that it went on though were also gorgeous. Like that's what really made the wheel so. The reason the TE37s did so well too is like they came in the heyday of the '90s Japanese cars, so they were on every cool car, which just naturally made everybody want them.
I would say if you're going to take a design or be inspired by a design, like you just got to do things to make
Yeah.
it yours.
Yeah,
It's-
I would say that because you're making it a single piece version. It's not like it has like a lip or anything on it.
Yeah.
Like it is a pretty, it's not like they're making, oh yeah, it is a multi-piece looking wheel.
Thank
It's
God
like,
doesn't
no,
have fake rivets.
Oh, if it had fake rivets, this would have been a completely different podcast.
conversation, yeah. I think it's tough because a lot of people out there, especially if you're listening, we always get asked that, like, what are your thoughts on, rep wheels, or what are your thoughts on this wheel? And it really is, the whole point of us making that wheel verifier tool on the website was to make it very honest and fair. If a design carries a similarity from a previous wheel, you guys deserve to know. Does it make it a bad wheel? No. If we see a cheap wheel that is purposely doing what it can to get passed off as a multi-piece wheel, we're going to tell you, because we think that's where it's like, okay, well, if you're planning on going out on the track, you plan on going on to drift it, probably not going to be
I just
great.
think that's so corny.
The
Well,
fake like
Fake
bolts
rivets and
stuff,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, like I get they're going for the multi-piece
The
look,
look,
without the multi-piece price.
See, the thing that I will say where I would side on the more affordable cost with like wheels is if a wheel doesn't have, obviously, like the rivet thing is a maybe not what I would go with, but the lips, like big lips on single piece wheels to give it that like two-piece look. For me, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. A lot of people will say, oh, it's got a big lip, but it's a fake two-piece. It's like, well, Yeah, but if they're making an 18 by 10.5 plus 22 and they make the face super flat and they got a 2.5, 3.5 inch lip on it, it's a one piece, and you want that because you have a 350Z and you've got $1,000. Yeah. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
And, I look at like this Motegi Forge down here though. This is a single piece forged wheel, and that's got a huge lip on it.
It does have a huge lip.
It's got a massive lip on it. So, that looks really good.
I don't know.
Motegi Battle versus MB Battle.
That is a whole. That's a rabbit hole. Yeah, that is a fucking rabbit hole.
MB Battle is a rep of a rep of a rep of a rep
yes.
of a rep.
It just keeps going. It's like, it was so funny when I remember when doing the video on that, because Dakota had MB Battles back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we got that in. I don't know if you guys can see it if you're watching the podcast, that blue wheel up there. And I'm like, this is literally a fucking MB Battle. Wait.
Yeah, identical.
Motegi
Battle.
Because that's called the Motegi Battle. Then we're like, the battle...
Which is MB.
5. And then we're like, holy shit. And then we're like, no, that was a completely different brand. So I started looking into it because we were doing the video on it. And I was like, okay, but now these are based off of this wheel. And these ones were from Japan. But these ones from Japan copied these ones from back in the day from here. And it just kept going. And it was like down in these forums from like 2005. And people were like, oh, actually, I had a set of these back in the day. And these were the original.
Well, it was like Alex said, like there's some tuning shops that make like one-off wheels one time. And they're not like an established wheel
and they're
manufacturer.
Like the weirdest, they're like a 17 by 6.5.
Yeah. Very like we've got a Cressida and we need wheels. So they go to...
That design, specifically like the end of like the spokes and stuff like that, and the 7-spoke design has so much goddamn lore to it. Mm-hmm. It's wild.
Yeah,
I want to do like a huge deep dive on that design.
Dude, they look good on cars though.
They do. Yeah,
battles look good. That's an interesting one. That's the problem with it all is like you can keep going back and back and back to find more and more history as to where a wheel is. That's where we kind of draw the line on. It has to be supported. Yeah. Like the wheel model has to be supported. You can't say that a wheel is a rep of something if the wheel was made 27 years ago by a shop in Japan twice for their race car and now it's never made anymore. Because that's otherwise, you run out of how many times can you make a
It's like I'm not going to deny that it was made. That's awesome. But it's like if they made it twice, no one knew about it.
Yeah.
Except for you.
Yeah, and we never had access to get it. And it gets switched. And it's not made any longer. There's a bunch of like gray areas with it. So.
You know what's gray and green?
What? Green.
Sometimes even gold. Fortunato coilovers.
I love the battle of this segue.
Which is another proud partner of the MartiniWorks podcast. Fortunato coilovers are custom made to order coilovers.
Start over.
I was thinking about the next segue I could do with Fortunatos while I was talking about Fortunatos.
That's crazy.
But they're absolutely fantastic coilovers. We've had them on the GTT now for a couple months. We've taken them autocrossing. We've taken Road America. We've drag raced with them. We've taken them across the state. We've drifted on them. We've done quite literally everything with these coilovers. Yes. And the most fantastic thing that I have to say that I have some experience on just recently was dialing in the softness versus hardness using that top mount controller on the fronts of the GTT. A lot of times people, they just set it, they forget it, they don't really think about it. But man, does it make one hell of a difference when you actually want to get a different performing suspension kind of behavior in the front of the car. And the Fortunato dampers and the way that they have these things built, they give you so much flexibility, so much freedom to either absorb those bumps in the road, especially when we were heading down to GLD. This thing felt like it was on rails. And I was like, I have to soften these. Pulled off to the side of the road, softened them up, 6-7 clicks, got back on the road, and it was perfect. Yeah. Got to the track, tightened it back up, ran her all day. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the level of customization you have with Fortunatos is awesome, but when you get it and you're able to actually use the things that give you that wide range of use, not a lot of companies do that. And Fortunato does a great job with giving you a set of coilovers that really make it great for being on the street and also being on the track. So if you're looking for a set, highly recommend them. They're over on MartiniWorks.com. We have the 500 and 510 series. They have over 300 fitments available. And I know we're kind of coming into the fall, into the winter time, but it makes a really great fall project, especially as you start to put the car away. So if you're willing to wait a few weeks, you want to get them custom built for your car, head on over to MartiniWorks.com. And thank you, Fortunato, for being a proud partner of the MartiniWorks podcast.
We're back.
Breaking news!
My favorite part of the day.
What if I were to tell you that it's going to cost $300 per year to keep using Google Maps if you have a Chevy Silverado?
Why would it?
because they're adding in the subscription feature that if you want to have it integrated into your Chevy Silverado, it's going to cost you $300 a year.
Google Maps sucks.
I like Google Maps.
No.
I
You let
use
us
Google
on
Maps.
multiple fucking runs.
A couple times it
across
has
the
let me down
country.
a couple times, but it's always my easiest.
Wait, so are we?
How
Is this a Google Maps versus Apple Maps?
Apple Maps
debacle?
used to be the worst. Now it's the best. Google Maps
No,
is trash and
trash.
takes you completely out
No.
of the way, wrong.
I think it's
directions.
just a setting that I have.
You're so wrong. Google Maps is way better.
I follow Jells who uses Google Maps and is the worst drive of my life every
Okay,
single time.
first things first. He may have put a bad taste in your mouth, but you never know where you're going ever.
That's why it's so important that I have a good GPS. You couldn't have said it better yourself.
Google
I
Maps.
never know where I'm going. Apple Maps, I put on, I follow it to the lake, and I drive in the
If
lake.
you guys, if you guys, back when we first started at my house, it was always hilarious to get Dakota to go anywhere.
How do I get there?
Without Apple Maps? Like even just getting to like the restaurant that was 2 turns away from the house
Where is it?
required Apple Maps.
I have no sense of direction. I don't know why. It's like
But
gone.
How is it owning
So-
a Chevy gonna stop me from using Google Maps on my phone?
So because Chevy and other manufacturers have started to take out like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Well, that's
and those
fucking
things
stupid.
because they want to introduce their own, integrated
yeah, because
system.
the one-
Chevy Connect.
Yeah,
or,
the Chevy Connect that was in my 2013 Equinox was really good.
yeah.
Dude, for Mac Miller's Best Day Ever album, it would show a album cover from SpongeBob Best Day Ever.
Dude, they would always like show the funniest images when it didn't happen, or it would. We've talked about this before.
I don't know where it was getting them
It has
from.
like random
Yeah, it has,
shots
like, a
of
basic.
celebrities that like they like are like looking over. Like it's a photo you've never seen of the
I don't know
celebrity.
where they are from. Where do those images?
And they're always
literally
like
from?
awkward. And then if it doesn't have it, it just says like urban, and it shows like 2 people
Yeah.
with like berets on
Yeah, I don't want that.
against the brick wall.
I don't want that.
Urban music. Like listening
I
to
remember seeing that when I had my Audi. It was like the urban, it was like the urban or like the country one was some like random field.
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
is.
none of this is right.
I don't like
this
that.
isn't right. Okay, new one for you.
Okay.
What's your most fuck I'm an idiot damage you've done to your car?
There's
easy.
so many.
Yeah, the one that comes to my mind immediately was when I was installing coilovers on my Focus ST, and I was following along with the YouTube video word for word. And I went to take the windshield wipers off, and dude, they would not come off. They would not fucking come off. You had to take them off to get the cowl, to get to the top hats. And I used a screwdriver to get underneath. I just fucking popped my windshield. Whole thing just fucking spider webbed. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I hit play on the video. And he's like, you don't really have to take them off. It's just kind of nice. And I was like, you fuck. And yes, I did the rest of the install by leaving the windshield wipers on with a cracked
Oh
windshield.
my god.
The best TikTok I've ever seen before. Those ones where it was like they're following the directions exactly.
That's literally what it was.
Yeah,
They pause it, they do it. All right, yep. So
Do not remove the red connector.
That's so real, dude. It's so real. That's why it's a pro tip. If you're installing something you haven't ever done before, pull up some videos, watch it while you're waiting for it to come.
Watch it all the way
whole
through.
Yes, you'll learn and you'll be ready for it day of. Because if you're like me and you got to like follow it step by step, it's a good idea to just have a good idea, so that way you don't bust your windshield for no reason at all.
Okay, so we're gonna look down and see that connector, right? And looks like it's gonna be really easy to unplug. Do not unplug that. I would say mine is I had the Eclipse back in the day. I just put it through like fresh paint. I got like a new front bumper for it because the bumper was all fun. It was looking really nice. Mm-hmm. Brought it down to college with me. Went to back out. This was like probably 2 months of having all this work done. Went to back out of a parking spot. Forgot that I was in the end spot. Went to turn. Whole side of the bumper across the curb. Absolutely just demolished it. I literally cried. I'm like, that sucked.
God damn.
Yeah, that was stupid. How many times I've smoked like a fender with a jack handle because I'm like trying to like work on
and it
something.
swings back.
Whack!
What do you got?
I wouldn't say like most expensive, but like fuck I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have put jack stands on the underside of suspension components that move. as you know, like the car kind of settles.
Scary.
Did that at a drift day one time. I put a jack stand on what I think was like a lower control arm for some reason. I just wasn't paying attention, and then I like relaxed the jack. Jack came down. Car's still kind of hanging there, and then all of a sudden it just goes, woof.
Oh yeah.
And I look underneath, and I'm like, what the hell? Oh, the jack stand. Whoa.
Oof.
Oh no! No, good news. Didn't break the rotor or anything like that, but
Okay,
it was
that's
with
good.
it was with the glory.
There was speaking of a drift day fuck up, was the last drift day we were at actually. I was having an issue with my fans on the 240. And
always have issues.
I always have the issue with the fan, so I was like trying to like get them turned on because the car was getting really hot. I was like in the pits and I'm like had my helmet on and shit. I'm like trying to like reach under the dash and like grab like the wire and stuff, and all of a sudden I'm hearing like go, and I'm like look up and like rolling into all of our shit, and the table is like falling over and the fucking tools are flying over. There's a guy next to me. He's like whoa. I was like
your car's just rolling through all of your shit.
I just like look up. I was like, oh,
you're trying to hotwire your fan.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
He's like, are you good? I was like, oh yeah, I didn't realize I was moving. My just like backing up, the table's falling over. He's like, okay.
All right, so here are some what's your most fuck I'm an idiot damage from the internet. Somebody installed a new to him M3 LSD in his 330 project.
Okay.
It was a couple years before it was finally on the road, and I forgot to check that it had diff fluid from when he had installed it.
No.
So needless to say, a dry M3 diff will last approximately 12 miles.
Oh.
I had to make some gnarly noises. You'd think.
Somebody else said he thought that if he just slammed his back hatch hard enough, it will push his luggage just enough to properly close. I've done this before. Unfortunately for him, he immediately broke his back window.
Oof. Didn't you do that with the Jetta window?
Yes. Oh, that was another one. Yeah,
We love windshields.
So the owner of our Civic Si that we had put the most trash fucking exhaust, booger weld, terrible, and it was falling off. So we just like, let's put a stock exhaust back on this because we were planning on getting rid of the car somewhat soon. Civic Si exhaust for the 10th gen, only one piece. They are all one piece front to back. So I had a Wagoon at the time, the TDI. Rest in peace. I miss that thing so much. We loaded it in, and dude, it just fit. And I went to close the hatch, and yeah, the metal touched the windshield. Fucking, I'm bad with windshields.
Somebody else said, didn't cause damage, but I learned an awful lot about scouting the path in front of you before I went off a ledge that I thought was about 6 inches and turned out to be about 2 feet.
What?
Pretty sure I knocked a filing loose as the Jeep dropped on the rock rails. I'll be damned if a filling. Well, he said filing. All right, I'm literally.
All right.
You're right. Good call.
I'll be damned if those things didn't do exactly what they were supposed to, though. One of my most stupider ones was during a vehicle recovery. My significant other had called DoorDash, and they got stuck out in a ditch along the driveway. I was lazy and just hooked up to them to pull backwards in two-wheel drive instead of turning around and putting it in 4 low like I should have. Smelt burnt clutch for 3 weeks.
Ooh, god damn.
There's the whole off-road scene in terms of like the science behind that stuff is pretty wild. I always enjoy watching and never actually doing it. All right, I got another one. Porsche, back in the news.
Oh, more Battle Pass.
Porsche says, why should we make something worse? Because Porsche shot down that Hyundai Ioniq 5N style has the fake shifter noises for their electric cars. Porsche had responded saying that they'll never do such a thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, yeah.
Do you?
I think so.
I want you to think about this for a second because I feel like they're onto something. What do electric cars miss in the driving experiences?
Mm-hmm.
The noises, right? The engagement of the driver to the car. There's never going to be a physical way to do that with an electric vehicle anytime soon. So Hyundai's response is, we'll give you that perception of it through the noises and through the engagement and through the lights and through that because there's no other way to do it.
The lights and stuff I get. The noises and like the fake like feedback and stuff I don't like. That's weird.
I don't.
If it's an electric vehicle and that's how it is, then it should be how it is. I don't know. Like it's just.
I guess I'd have to hear it. I'd have to hear it. I have to see like if it's a new type of noise and it's almost for like auditory confirmation when you're driving, to help you understand what's going on. but it's not trying to mimic the sound of what an actual one does, I think it could maybe work, and that's the only way I'm getting by it.
I guess I am not as opposed to it as I think a lot of people initially are, because to me, it's like the things we like are usually less efficient than what it could be.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that they're trying to just do something to create. I think Porsche's just pissed that they didn't think of it first.
No, we're not doing it.
We're not doing it. It's lame. Shit. When you really think about it, pretty much all of the cool ideas, and I got this from a comment as well, anything that you're seeing from like Hyundai or Kia from like a performance engagement perspective is Albert Biermann, who used to be BMW's M chief engineer.
Yeah, they took a lot of them.
They took almost all of them, which is probably why Porsche's all pissed off about it. That's all I got for breaking news.
That's all right.
Outside of that,
Some good ones.
I do have new wheels that are coming for a car build, and I'm not telling anyone what they are until they're.
I know what they are.
I don't know what they are. He keeps hiding them from me.
Literally, give me one decent snack, and I will spill the beans.
If I give you one decent snack, will you withhold the information for a day?
Gotta be better than whatever the person would give me to spill
Guarantee
the
my
beans.
snack will be better.
No
See,
way.
that's how it's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Yeah.
If you guys are looking or gals looking for car parts, be sure to mod your car at MartiniWorks.com. We have new products getting added every single day, including the new Koenig Forged that is out there. And we also have like 3,000 Enkis on the website now. For some reason or another, they left the website. They came back. They look like big doo-doo, so we fixed them. They look fantastic.
Sorry.
A bunch of really good information on them, and we would love to help you mod your car. So if you're looking for car parts, mod your car at MartiniWorks.com. If you don't see what you need, shoot the little chat bubble in the corner a message. You're talking to Carissa, Hamby, or myself, and we'd be happy to help you out. Anything else, Dakota?
Yep, Alex got XXR 527s.
Oh, I knew it.
No, I got the X527Fs. They're forged.
They're rotary forged. Be careful.
Gels, anything?
I know. I'm good.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Adios.
Right.